Hello everybody, welcome back to Sauna Stories, where I cut through wellness noise and make biohacking doable. Today I'm going to speak about something that I've had multiple conversations with people over the last few weeks, which is about who do we trust with all of this wellness information. We're being bombarded every day with so many different opinions, studies, points of view, and it's often quite conflicting, and it's really hard to know what to do for the best. And a lot of us have lost the ability to trust our own intuition and to really work out what's best for us from a bio-individuality perspective. And we're sort of relying on other people to show us the way or to tell us what to do. And that's okay in one sense, right? It's amazing to listen to Dr. Rangan Chatterjee or Diary of a CEO or whoever your go-to podcast is, and hear experts and opinions and studies, and then you can really piece things together. But ultimately it's about working out what works for you and that experimentation piece. But who do we trust? And this is the problem. I think in the last month, particularly with everything that's happened with the Epstein files and certain people coming out that we once probably respected or thought they were a bit of a guru or a leader in the space that we're in, whether or not it's longevity or spirituality. And all of a sudden we realize that these people aren't who we thought they are, and it kind of erodes away at that trust for other people. We wonder what people's motives are, what their agendas are. A lot of stuff that we're fed or people are promoting is because they're being paid to do so from a supplement perspective. So, is that supplement actually as good as they say it is, or is it just that they're being paid to tell us that? So I think we've got to be discerning with where we get our information. I remember seeing Dr. Rangan Chatterjee last year in Sydney talking, and he said that even he finds it hard sometimes. He has all these amazing experts on his podcast, and they're professors of Harvard, and all these really highly proficient, credible doctors and experts in that space. And one can come on and say, this is the way, and the other one can say, this is the way, and here's the research, and both have those studies to back up what they're saying. And so it's really complex, and it almost puts us into this health paralysis that I talk about, where we're kind of like, well, what do we do? Should we take this? Should we not do this? Should I do an ice bath or not? And, ultimately we've got to trust ourselves, and we've got to tap into that intuition of, well, how does it make me feel? Do I feel better? Is it a placebo? Well, even if it is a placebo, the placebo works. So it's really about trying to assess what actually works for our body, what's practical, what can we fit in. We don't want to be overwhelming ourselves with this never-ending to-do list of things that we have to do to look after our well-being as well. We really need to get the basics right, and that's what I talk about a lot in my book, is those biohacking basics and those foundations and building that healthy home and what that looks like. So I think, who do we trust? We trust ourselves. What do we do about all this wellness overwhelm and all this noise? Well, my feed is just completely and utterly saturated with everything to do with biohacking and wellness and longevity. And, from the moment I wake up, it's like something's going to hurt me, damage me, or kill me. I think it's either my toothbrush now with microplastics, it's headphones. I don't wear headphones, but there's something every day or every week, there's something new that we know is going to harm us. And look, I'm not saying it's not important to be aware, and I think it's really important that we minimize where we can. We minimize risk, we minimize exposure to toxins, and we minimize exposure to plastics and microplastics. But there's only so much we can do, and I think that anxiety and that being so neurotic about things like that causes a lot more stress on the body, and a lot more stress with us, because we feel out of control. We can't control some of these things. So simple things we need to do is stop drinking plastic water. That's hard sometimes when you're in Asia. It's all you can get hold of. So you create this norm of like, okay, this is my norm of how I live. And then you can filter in the exception, right? And sometimes there is an exception where you don't really have a choice on what you do. So yeah, I think we've got to work out what's important to us, where our vulnerabilities might be. So for example, you know, do we have heavy metals? Do we have mold? Are we allergic to toxins? You know, these things we can find out in our DNA methylation testing. But from a toxin perspective, like I'm really sensitive to chemicals and smells, and so any products in the house that have chemicals, anyone, like I can smell people in supermarkets now. I can smell their laundry detergent on their clothes. I can smell their aftershave, their perfume. It's really strong for me, and so I really minimize anything like that in my house because that's within my control. You know, and we use low tox products to clean our house so that I'm not being triggered by that as well. So I think, you know, and look at sort of everything I've swapped now is now glass from plastic, and bamboo boards rather than plastic boards, and I'm using stainless steel. I just got a new slow cooker that's stainless steel because I love slow cooking, which is fantastic. And I think there is so much within our control, but we have to learn to trust ourselves as well. And I think just, you know, have a couple of go-to people that you really do, you know, trust what they're saying, and you resonate and it makes sense, and you feel that they've got your best interests at heart. And stick with that rather than having to spread yourself so thin and listening to so many different opinions and viewpoints, because it's confusing. I find it overwhelming. It is so confusing. It's so overwhelming. You know, I sort of get into a bit of paralysis where I'm like, well, what should I do? What should I take? But I always keep honing back into, well, what feels right and what makes me feel good. So I hope this is helpful. If there's any more questions you've got, please chuck some stuff in the comments, and yeah, I will share another sauna story. It's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? Sauna story next week. Take care. Bye.